Did you notice something in the gospel that we usually don't pay much attention to? I'm referring to the bucket, the water bucket that the woman brought to the well in today's story. It was empty, of course. At least it seemed to be. But it was actually pretty full of stuff. Stuff in that woman's life, and probably pretty heavy for her to carry. John says she came to the well at noon. That means that she was trying to avoid everybody there in that village that knew about her stuff, the stuff that was in her bucket. But that was just the kind of stuff that Jesus kept pulling out of her bucket so it could be empty enough for him to fill it. For instance, she had 5 husbands, which might have set a record for that little village. But it was part of the weight that she carried in her bucket. She was also a woman and a Samaritan, of course, who were sworn enemies of the Jews, much like the Arabs are enemies of the Jews today. The Jews considered them heretics and wouldn't let them worship in the temple in Jerusalem, so they had to build their own temple. So she carries the weight of prejudice in her bucket when she met Jesus, and some animosity. Notice how Jesus gradually empties the bucket for her. He doesn't really care that she's a woman or a Samaritan or in a bad marriage or doesn't worship the same way that he does. Instead, after emptying her bucket, he promises something to fulfill it. He promises her living water, not from a well that would dry it up, but rich, flowing, tasty, refreshing, thirst-slaking, wonderful, living water, the water that is himself. She gets so excited about it that she runs to call the rest of the village. And she does something very, very significant. She leaves her bucket at the well. She does that because she doesn't need it anymore. She found a better kind of water. That's what you and I have to do today. After listening to this gospel, what are we bringing to the Eucharist in our buckets? Is it full of stuff? Stuff we're really ashamed of? Stuff we really like to dump out of it? But emptying a bucket is not easy, especially if the stuff has been in there a long time. But that's what we're offered on this third Sunday of Lent. Jesus, who is living water, can save us from the dehydration of our lives forever. So put that on your bucket list. Try to empty your bucket well before you have to kick it. Amen.